It's WKRK Radio in Murphy, North Carolina, cable TV channel 25, worldwide at country.am. And Sheriff Palmer and I are both here this morning. That means that neither one of us won the lottery. So,
unfortunately.
Good morning,
My wife
Sheriff.
always says you never win because you don't ever play.
You never play.
Yeah, so it's hard to win if you don't buy a ticket, I guess.
That's right, and trying to figure out what to do with all that money.
Right. I was telling Tim before we went on the air, I don't know what it'd be like to have $1 billion, but I'd like to find out. I'd like to see what I could do with it.
Just one day worth of finding out would be fine.
It would. I've always wanted to go on vacation one time in my life, to go somewhere and just never worry about what you spend. Mm-hmm. Just buy what you want to buy, do what you want to do, eat what you want to eat, never worry about what you spend on it. I'd like to know what that felt like.
Right, that'd be fun.
It would.
That would be fun.
Maybe one day we'll find out. I don't know.
Well, we found out that summer has ended.
Oh, it has. Cold weather has gotten here. The good thing to report this morning, though, is I checked with both with the school system and with the dispatch center, and we have had no cold weather events reported this morning. We've had no reports of ice anywhere, had no reports of cold weather problems that happen. So that's a good thing. That's a good report to give in that. There could be something turn up later or tomorrow, but as of today, as of this morning, we didn't have any reports of anything.
Well, very good.
Yeah.
I know Cherokee County and Tri-County Community College were on the 2-hour delays locally just in case there was black ice that formed over the night. And a lot of people, everyone has an opinion,
Right.
whether if you're on Facebook at all, people are either happy or
honestly,
unhappy.
the school system, the superintendent is kind of in a no-win situation on those things, because if you continue on with school and there was a bus accident or something of that nature, then they would be under scrutiny for going ahead with school. If you do like they did today and do a 2-hour delay and don't have any weather-related events, then they're under scrutiny for delaying school when they didn't need to. So they're really in a no-win situation. It's just to make the best judgment for what's the safety of the children and go from there.
Exactly. Got to make the best for the safety, and you're never going to please everybody at the same time.
If you're going to make a bad decision, make it on the side of safety, I guess.
Absolutely.
Is a good way to doing it. Make sure everybody's safe.
All right, so we did we got down to 16 degrees here at the studio this morning. That's pretty chilly. We had a warmer than normal December.
Right.
So the good news is that folks are going to save some money on their heating bills if they use.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would like to see I shared this with people quite often. It's like you say, you have a difference of opinion. Sometimes people like it, some people don't. But I would kind of like to see at least get one good snow before spring gets here. I'm a kind of person I like to see snow falling, and as it's snowing, I enjoy it. But when the snow quits falling, I'm ready for it to clear off and be done.
Have no fear. Johnny's here.
Johnny is here.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good morning,
Happy New Year
Johnny.
to you.
Happy New Year to you as well.
Yeah.
You're looking good for
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Glad to see you.
Good morning.
All right. Where were you?
I don't even know. We're talking about cold weather and snow
You
and
like
all those kind of
snow,
things. I
that's
do
right.
like snow. Of course, when this time of year, it brings all kind of different problems when you have cold weather events and things happening. Well, I met last week with some people from the homeless shelter and talked with other people within the county about cold weather shelters and homeless population and trying to get people in and out of the weather and things of that
Right.
nature.
I didn't know
So-
you were a cop.
Yeah.
God bless you, man. You're doing a great
Thank you very
job.
much.
No, I'm serious.
Thank you very
You're doing
much.
a great
I
job.
appreciate it.
I love you, man.
Thank you.
Watch out for this guy.
All right. Okay. I forgot where we were at again.
I did too.
Okay. But we'll go on with that. But with cold weather events, there's some different things that happen, with that, and there's problems that come with that, and we have to anticipate that. So, we met last week with the homeless shelter and with
That's
some
right.
people from the county about getting people in out of the weather and during this cold weather. And so we're making those arrangements and kind of going around the different towns. I know Murphy Police and Andrews Police kind of monitors their homeless situation that's in the towns. And what people need to understand is when we talk about homeless, it's not just people who's living in a tent or living under a bridge or something. We have a group of people within the county who are transient, who may not have a permanent home or somewhere to stay, so they're staying with relatives or they're staying with friends or they're staying with whoever they can stay with. And those people are technically classified homeless because they don't have a permanent dwelling or permanent place to go back to. Right. So So we always have to try to monitor those groups also to where they're not caught in transition somewhere without anywhere to go, and get caught out in weather such as this morning, and I think all week's supposed to be cool, as a matter of fact.
Right.
And we just want to make sure we don't have people out there in the elements, and we have a place to get them in and out of that. So we're working with the homeless shelter and working with our emergency management director and those kind of people to make sure that in an event that we have homeless people that's out there out in the weather, that we can get them secured and get them in and out of the weather.
If someone listening right now knows of someone who's needing a place to stay or just to get out of the weather, who do they contact?
Well, first of all, probably the most appropriate place to contact first would be the homeless shelter itself. They have rules and regulations as far as who they can put in there. I mean, they have to do background checks and some different things, and of course, you don't want unknown people with males and females mix in with children and unknown adults, because you never know what bad things might happen under those mixtures. So they have rules and regulations about how they house people and who they allow in there or not. But the reason I say that would probably be your first place is, even if you don't qualify, then the homeless shelter directors themselves can contact people from the county, the emergency management director or the sheriff's office, or somebody to get further information about where they can go. I know that last year at the sheriff's office, we actually had some homeless that came in and stayed in our detention lobby. Some stayed overnight, and we try to not let them stay prolonged periods of time. When it warms up, find other places for them to go. But last year we had a circumstance where we had a lady who was not from this area, that knew no one from this area, who was transit and got caught here homeless in cold weather. And she literally stayed in our detention lobby for about 3 weeks until we could find somewhere for her to go and to get her into a homeless shelter, find a place for her to stay there. So there's always options, and there's always different places. And we've looked at some different places within the county itself, some county buildings and some private-owned buildings that might be good cold weather emergency stations, to get people to go in. So we're just looking at all kind of different avenues and options to try to get this done. So if you're caught out in the cold weather, or you know someone that is, or where there's a homeless person, and during this cold weather, please contact one of us. Contact either the sheriff's office, the emergency management director, or the homeless shelter, and let them know what the situation is so we can find help for them.
And there's also a resource number that United Way operates. Is 211 from your phone.
Right.
So you can call 211 from your cell phone or your landline and tell them what kind of help you need, whether it's homeless or depression or whatever you may be experiencing that you need help for. And they have a list of resources there that they can help you with those problems.
Yeah, and like the lady we talked about last year, what happened through working with some of these organizations, we actually found her a place to stay that was, I think, in Macon County. That's where we actually found her. So it's not just stuff. It's not just resources for Cherokee County, but it could be out of state. It could be in another county. So there are people that will help you try to find those resources to get you to a place where you can stay warm, stay out of the weather.
Right. Yeah. Last week there were a lot of press releases issued, and a lot of them were about sexual assaults and things like that. Is there a certain... Was it a coincidence they were all arrested at the same time, or was there a special...
No. Kind of what happens is when we're doing our felony investigations and putting things together, we submit everything to the district attorney's office for indictment to go in front of the grand jury. And so what happens is the district attorney's office kind of filters through this and sorts through this as to what's appropriate for each grand jury. So a lot of times you may have a grand jury that's full of just sexual assault cases, or you may have a grand jury that's full of just drug cases, or maybe full of breaking and enterings or different things. And then you may have grand juries where there's a mixture of those things. But it just so happened that on this time that through the investigations, detectives, and through Roger Williams, through our computer end of this, we're investigating some of these sexual assault crimes that was sent up to the district attorney's office that all just happened to be on the same court date. So that's kind of how that came about. The indictments just all came down at one time. That's how that happened.
I was wondering if there's some kind of major bust or something going on. So that explains that.
Right.
Just
a lot of these investigations is a lengthy amount of time. It takes a lot of interviews. It takes a lot of, for the most part. I mean, there's some that happens pretty quick, but for the most part, it takes a period of time of trying to get the paperwork together, get the interviews together, trying to figure out what the truth is in the situation. So a lot of those are not arrested on warrants, but they're arrested through the indictment process. And one of the things we always try to stress with our investigators is that especially when you have sexual assault cases, especially when you're dealing with those things, be very, very careful about charging people and accusing people of things, because if it turns out later they're innocent, a lot of times you can't undo what the press has done or what we have done to people by arresting them and putting them in jail.
Right.
Even if they turn out to be innocent later, people don't remember that you're innocent. They remember that you were charged or arrested for something.
Right.
And then you have that label for the rest of your life. So we try to be very careful, especially on these type of cases, that we do a good, thorough investigation, and the people that are arrested need to be arrested.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. You wanted to respond to some of the someone had some questions that they sent a fax to.
Right. I want to address a letter that was sent out this week. And it's not, and to be honest with you, I started not to address the letter. I started not to say anything about it. For the reason being is the person that sent the letter wouldn't sign it, and they just said concerned resident. I have a real problem with people making accusations and people spreading gossip and rumors and even sometimes lies, and won't come forth and won't talk about it and won't say who they are and hide behind anonymity. That really bothers me sometimes. And so I was really not going to address it, but what I found out through this week is this letter is popping up in different places, being faxed to different people. So I thought it's best just to hit it head on and just address it and answer some of the things that's in the letter. I'm a believer that an honest man has nothing to hide behind, and that if you're doing the best job you can do and being as honest as you can be, just put the stuff out there and discuss it. But one thing I do want to tell people is if you have an issue with the way the sheriff's office operates or things that we do or don't understand some things, my office is open all the time. Make an appointment. Come down, speak with me. I'll discuss anything you want to discuss. So if you're not understanding some things that's happening or concerned about things that's happening, just come down and be open and upfront about it. Because, like I say, we have nothing to hide. Everything's out in the open.
And you're pretty easy to talk to as well.
Right.
So it's not like you're going to be sitting there.
Yeah. The only time I really get really irritated and frustrated is, like you say, unfounded accusations.
Right.
And things that, from time to time, you run across people who intentionally does things. Right. And those bother me. But this was signed by a concerned citizen. And I'm not going to read the letter word for word, but I want to talk about some things within the letter that was accusations of the sheriff's office and some problems that was sent out to people stating there's problems with the sheriff's office, and I just want to address those things. The letter starts out by talking about how that this administration is doing a lot better than the previous administration. However, there were still some problems here. And they list these problems. There are 6 different areas where they list these problems. And like I say, I'm not going to go through these, read it word for word, but I will talk about what these areas are and try to address this. One thing I do want to say before we get into these problems is that the sheriff's office does not work for the county manager. And the sheriff's office does not work for the county commissioners. The sheriff's office works for the people. And I don't answer to the county manager. I don't answer to the commission board as far as the way we operate, who we hire, who we fire, things of those nature. That is 100% up to the sheriffs and up to the sheriff's staff as to how we deal with that and how we handle that. So the sheriff's office is the only office that answers directly to the people in law enforcement, and that's something to remember, that the sheriff's office is not a department within the county. I get frustrated and get ill sometimes when I hear people use the term sheriff's department, because we are not a department. We're not a department of the county. You don't hear people talk about the clerk's office as the clerk's department. Right. Or you don't hear people talking about register of deeds as the register of deeds department. It's not a department, it's offices. And the sheriff's office is the same. It's separate from the county. So we don't work for the county, we don't work for the county manager, we don't work for the commissioners. It is an office in itself, and we make the decisions about how that office operates. One of the first things in this question in this letter, it says that I have had a reluctance to dismiss prior administration personnel, and that these personnel have serious questionable integrity issues, and that they have been reassigned and kept their same pay. What I want to say in response to that is totally not true. That is a fabrication. I have kept some of the prior administration, that it's still there. Anything that I had that was questionable, that I thought needed to be addressed, I addressed and talked to those people about. There were two people that was reassigned and two people that I kept that was reassigned to other positions, and they did not keep their same pay. They were reduced pay when they were reassigned. So the fact of me saying that I kept people at their same pay and reassigned them to lower job classifications is not true. That is a lie. One thing that I do want to say about this, though, if you have information out there about some things any of my staff has done that caused their integrity into question, or anything out there that you feel like that I need to know that I may not know, come down and speak with me about it. Tell me about it. Don't send emails and faxes out across the county to different people. Come talk to me about it, because I am the sheriff and it's my office. My obligation is to the citizens, and I look through these things and look through prior personnel, and I put people where I felt like they could best serve my office and best serve the citizens of this county. I will not and have not and will continue to not fire people based upon politics. That is the wrong reason to hire and fire people, is based upon politics. What I have done with the sheriff's office is I have put people in positions where I thought they could best serve the county. Two people in particular that I have kept that I've been questioned about a lot in recent days is one is Joe Wood. Joe Wood was the previous chief deputy to Sheriff Lovin's administration, and I caught a lot of flack by not firing Joe Wood. What I did is I reduced Joe Wood to a lieutenant over investigations, where he is serving very well, doing a great job there. His pay was reduced when he went into that position. And one thing that I do want to remind people about this is when considering what to do with Joe and what to do with that position, his wife and his family was going through cancer at the time and was doing cancer treatments and was in the middle of that process. How awful would it be to come in and to fire somebody based upon politics when their family is in distress in the middle of these things? And I felt that it was the best integrity that I could show, and the best thing that I could do was to help them during their time of need and help them during their time of troubles. I talked to Joe and before I came into office, and we had some things straightened out and some things discussed and some things talked about. And Joe has been a great employee for me this past year, and I don't regret one day of keeping him. I think he has done a great job. He's done a great job with investigations. He's done a great job running that department over there within the sheriff's office. And so I have no regrets about that. The other person that was in a position that I demoted, talking about the reclassification, reassigning, was Roger Williams, he was the jail captain at the time and was doing some investigation things, and I moved him back to an investigator. And Roger did not keep his captain's pay. He went back to investigator and to investigator's pay. Mm-hmm. One thing about Roger Williams and keeping him, people may or may not understand, is Roger is the leading computer forensic expert in Western North Carolina. Now, he may chuckle and disagree when you say that, but when computer forensics need to be done, when people need to discuss this, when people have questions in the law enforcement community, everyone in Western North Carolina contacts Roger to talk to him about this, even on a federal level. The federal investigators call my office and talk to Roger about advice on how to do these cases. Right. Roger is an expert in this stuff, and he's not a person that you can replace easily. Mm-hmm. He's not a person that you could fire today and then just replace tomorrow. So that's another person that I've kept on the payroll and kept in a position there that I don't regret. I don't regret keeping. He's doing a great job. These sexual assault cases and these things that you talked about before, these are a direct result of Roger Williams' investigations. And so he's doing a great job for our office. He's doing a great job for our county, and I don't regret it a bit. So we can chalk number one off the list as this thing that was said here in this paragraph was just a total lie. One of the other things it says in this letter is that there's an infestation of nepotism within the sheriff's office. Husband, wife, and children all working together. The only husband, wife, and child we have working together as a team is the Morgan family. Mitch Morgan is a sergeant, his son Brandon is a deputy, and his wife is Dawn, who works in the front office. Mm-hmm. All three employees are excellent employees. They do a wonderful job. They do a great job for this county. And I just again, by trying to hire people and put people in positions who do good jobs for the office, how awful would it be for me to come in and fire people and to send people home and disrupt families just because they're related to each other? Mm-hmm. I hire and I fire and I supervise based on work performance and based upon work ethic and what you do. If you do a good job at the sheriff's office and you do a good job in the position you're assigned to, you're going to have a job. It doesn't matter if you're related or not related. And that's a decision that's left up to the sheriff, and I stand by that decision. It has nothing to based on who you're related to. But one thing that we did do within the sheriff's office, of people who are related within the sheriff's office, is that no one is in a supervisory position over the other. Excuse me. As a matter of fact, Brandon Morgan was wanting to move from night shift to day shift, and there was a position open in day shift, but it was under Mitch's position, his dad, and we wouldn't give it to him because we didn't want that supervision within the same family.
Right. I could see a conflict of interest.
Right, there could be a conflict of interest there. So we waited until a different position opened up on a different shift and was able to move him into that position. So what people need to understand is, even though there's a worry about this, even though people are concerned about that, we're going above and beyond to make sure this does not affect the office and it does not affect the citizens of Cherokee County. And so this is an unfounded concern that people have and need to move on. The other thing that I actually do agree with, I don't know if they meant it this way or not, but one thing they do state in the letter is there needs to be a reevaluation of employee salaries, which are not in line with agencies of the same demographics, and that is true. Because when I went and looked at the salaries of the same like counties who have the same landmass as Cherokee County, who has the same population as Cherokee County, I quickly found that from the sheriff on down that we are about $10,000 underpaid from the rest of the counties of the same size and the same population. And so I do agree with that. I don't know if that's how they meant it in here, but I do agree with that statement. For example, Cherokee County has about 27,000 citizens, have about 455 square miles. And so I went through all the counties. There's about 7 counties in Cherokee County of the like square mileage and like population. And I found that, and I don't care to tell you what my salary is. My salary is $62,000. And I will tell you, of like square mileage and of like population, the average salary is $73,580. There's some sheriffs out there of like places who are making over $80,000 for the same size counties. Same thing applies to chief deputy. Same thing applies for sergeants. Same thing applies for patrol officers and other staff in the office. So that is an accurate statement. We are underpaid. We need a reevaluation of the pay system. And some people don't understand that. They want to compare us with Clay County. They want to compare us with Graham County. And those counties are nowhere near the same size and the same population of Cherokee County and does not have the same responsibilities and the same calls that we do. So they want us to go back to Clay County, for example, and want us to pay upon a Clay County salary, and where we do twice the work, twice the jail volume, 3 or 4 times the calls for service. And the same thing applies for Graham County, and you can't compare the side-by-side counties because they're completely different counties. You have to go back and compare counties of like landmass, of like tax evaluation, of like population, and compare apples to apples. And when you compare apples to apples, we are underpaid. We are underpaid in Cherokee County, and that's not just true of the sheriff's office, but that's other offices within the county. And so that is a true statement. I know we're running long here, but I'll try to get through this.
Well, that's okay.
Another thing that was brought out in this letter is about employees double dipping the system, that they were getting a salary on top of these retirements. That also is not true. That is also a lie that's brought out. The only person that I have working in the sheriff's office that came out of retirement to work is my chief deputy, Mark Thigpen. He was a retired law enforcement officer. He's back working at the sheriff's office now, and he had to suspend his retirement to come back. So he is not drawing any kind of retirement. He is just drawing a salary from the sheriff's office. The only other people that work for the sheriff's office that are retired are our bailiffs that work in the court system, and they are not full-time employees. They're part-time employees. And so Mark Thigpen is the only full-time employee I have that has come out of retirement, and he is not double dipping. He's not drawing retirement and a salary. One of the things that's brought up in this same paragraph here, is about moving these people out so that new people can come in to work. Well, in the role of chief deputy, you can't hire a new person to come in to be your chief deputy. It takes experience. It takes someone who has been through the system, who knows the ropes, who knows the ins and outs. And Mark was that person that fit the bill for me. Right. And so he is the only one there that came out of retirement to work, and nobody else at the sheriff's office is come out of retirement to come to work. He was the only one. So these are some things that quite honestly was just lies that were spread out. There's a few other things here. One, it talks about there are no minorities working within the sheriff's office. That too is a lie. With the sheriff's office, has several different minorities working in the sheriff's office. We have several different people from the African American community. We have some that's Native American. We have some different backgrounds, some different Italian, some different genres of race and ethnicity there. And as a matter of fact, 2 of our supervisors are African American supervisors. So that statement that there are no minorities working at the sheriff's office is also a lie. We have several minorities working there. But one thing that we do need to mention about this is that out of our applications that comes to the sheriff's office, about 99% of our applications are white males. So that kind of skews the demographics to one side that we have no control over.
Right.
We can't make people come apply to the
Right.
sheriff's office. The second thing about that is, just like we're not going to fire people based upon politics, and we're not going to hire people based upon politics, we're not going to hire and fire people based upon skin color. We're not going to say this place is too white and we need some color to come work at the sheriff's office. We hire people based on their abilities, based upon their skills, based upon what they can offer the citizens of this county. Now, like I say, we do have people of color that are in supervisory positions. We have people of color that do work at the sheriff's office. And I do want to say that they have exceeded all of our expectations. They are great employees, do great jobs, and they remained on their jobs and they retained their jobs because they're great employees. They have a great work performance. And so we're not going to go out and actively recruit to hire people substandard performance just because they have a different skin color. So this statement of there are none or no minorities at the sheriff's office is not a true statement. And the last thing on here that's on this list is it says there's no vetting of personnel through random drug testing, psychological, polygraph exams, and things of other professional accredited agencies. Well, first of all, we're not an accredited agency, and there's very few accredited agencies even in North Carolina. It's a long, drawn-out, lengthy process it takes a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort to be an accredited agency, and it's not something simple to do. And we are light years away from being an accredited agency. But we do have drug testing. We do drug test all employees. We'd fall under the random drug testing policies and all the things that the county does. So to say that we don't vet any personnel is an absolute lie also, that we do vet our personnel. We do vet them through drug testing. We don't polygraph everyone that comes through, but through their background checks and through their interviews, there are from time to time things come up that we do polygraph people for, and we do polygraph them on their answers on some things. So these are all things that we're looking at, and we could obviously look at our hiring policy and change things that need to be changed and do things that need to be done. But to hold us on the standard of an accredited agency is ludicrous because we don't have the resources, the money, or the manpower to be an accredited agency. You're looking at things like FBI, the DEA, the Highway Patrol, Charlotte-Mecklenburg, a lot of these bigger places. TVA is one that can fall under the accredited agency status, and we're just light years away from that. And if people's looking to make Cherokee County accredited, it's going to take a lot of money, a lot of resources, a lot of time to ever get that done. So when we see these letters like this pop up, and we see them pop up around the county, it kind of aggravates me. And I know you probably, when you're sitting there listening, you probably sound like I got my voice raised a time or two and out of breath a time or two, but it really does frustrate me. It really does frustrate me that people won't come and sit down and have a conversation about this and get these things cleared up and get it out of the air before spreading gossip and rumors and stuff all over the county. Anybody out there that's listening today, if you don't believe any of this stuff and you want to see proof and you want to see what we have, come down to the sheriff's office. I'll take you on a tour. I'll show you things. One thing I can't show you is personnel files, and I can't show you the things that's in there. Right. But we'll show you how we operate. We'll show you what we do on a day-to-day basis. We'll show you what the way things are and who's employed and how they work and all those kind of things. Like I said before to start this out, an honest person has nothing to hide, and I have nothing to hide at the sheriff's office. So if anybody believes any of this stuff or anybody wants a further explanation, come down and see me. I'll be more than happy to talk to you about it.
You mentioned the hiring and firing because of politics. I remember growing up, And if a Democrat sheriff would get hired, or same with governor
Right.
too, all the Republicans would get fired and replaced, and same with the Republicans, the Democrats.
Right.
How much does that cost in training just to do something along politics?
It would cost this county thousands and thousands and even upwards of hundreds of thousands of dollars. to
Even
do
as a
that.
kid, I knew that was not a
Yeah.
very logical. It seemed like an unfair just because of politics.
One thing that people need to understand, it's a lot different than it was in years past. In years past, a new sheriff could come in and just get rid of everybody, hire whoever he wanted to replace people, and be done with it. But now there's so much training involved, there's so many certifications involved, there's so much in-service that has to be done every year to keep it going and to keep your certification going. Is it would cost the county thousands and thousands and tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, to come in and replace everybody at the sheriff's office and to come in and just fire people at random. So anytime you make those kind of decisions, anytime you make decisions to get rid of somebody or to hire somebody, it's a major decision. You're looking at the sheriff's office, you're looking at, if you hire somebody, you're looking at, low 30s salary, high 20s, mid 20s to low 30s salary, depending on their certifications and depending on the experience they have. You're looking at another $20,000 to $30,000 for a vehicle to assign to that person. You're looking at several $100s to outfit that person, to duty gear. You're looking at weapons you have to pay for that person. And then you have to look at the training involved to train that person, to get them. Then you have to go through an FTO process within the sheriff's office to get them trained just for this county to be able to go out and answer calls within this county. So you're investing a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of resources in these people. And if a new sheriff come in and just decided, I want to get rid of 25 deputies out there, you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars to replace them. And I don't think that's what anybody in the county wants. They won't see anybody come in and do that.
So really, just going in and cleaning a house is not a smart move unless there's corruption.
Unless
there.
there's corruption, unless there's a need that needs to be gone. And one of the things that I did when I came into the sheriff's office is there were people that I dismissed, that I let go for different reasons, because I did not think they were conducive to the work environment that I was wanting to produce at the sheriff's office. And so, for a lot of different reasons, a lot of different things, we replaced those people. But like I say, I'm not the kind of person that's going to go in and just fire people or get rid of people because of their skin color or because of their politics or because of unfounded things. If you're a good employee who works hard, who has a good work ethic, that does a good job, that enhances the office and serves the citizens of Cherokee County, you're going to be safe within my organization.
Very good. All right, Sheriff, we thank you very much. I know we're running a little bit over time, but that's quite all right. I'm glad we got to talk and address some of the concerns that, again, if you tuned in late, an anonymous letter was faxed into WKRK, the county manager's office, and some other places.
Right.
Sheriff wanted to take a moment just to address some of the concerns.
Yeah.
So.
And like I say, anybody has any questions, just feel free to talk with me. I'm easy to talk to. I'm easy to get along with, and
Even I can get along
that's
with him.
it. And I don't shy away from hard questions. I don't shy away from hard things. And if I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong. And if things are wrong, we'll address things that are wrong. One of the things that some of the supervisors in the sheriff's office has been kind of a shocker to them through this past year is that I heard one to make the comment the other day. He said, "Well, you can say one thing about the sheriff. If there's a problem, he hits it head on and don't let it fester and don't let it hang on a while. He'll take care of whatever the problem is out there." So like I say, if there's concerning things, if there's things out there that people think need to be addressed that's not being addressed, hey, let's sit down and talk about it. Tell me what they are, and I'll address them.
All right, Sheriff, thank you very
All right.
much. Unless I take another 3 weeks off, I'll see you next week.
There you go.
All right, see you, Sheriff. It's WKRK Radio in Murphy, North Carolina.